Hi guys, welcome back to the Infinite Podcast. I'm Elisa.
I'm Miguel.
And we're your co-hosts for today's episode. Today we're going to be talking about evil.
Yes.
Are people born evil? Like, how necessary is evil? What causes evil in our
existence
society?
of evil in this place.
Exactly.
You know? So for starting, how do you feel about evil?
Well, I hate evil. I
Yeah.
really hate evil. I'm really
Yeah.
against that shit. I don't
Yeah.
I don't fuck with evil is what you gotta understand about me. But I guess the way we got into this topic, this was always kind of a topic we wanted to discuss. But a few weeks ago, I read this book called The Girl Next Door, which is based on a real life case of this girl named Sylvia Likens who was murdered in 1965. Basically, her parents left her at a neighbor's house, her and her little sister at a neighbor's house, for the neighbor to like take care of the two girls. And what ended up happening was the mom ended up recruiting all the neighborhood kids to torture this girl until she died. They like did a whole bunch of like horrible things to her, and like the kids were really young, and that was like a huge part of the case. That like how could kids that were so young be so prone to like this level of violence and cruelty? And was it that they were just like evil, or like what caused them to like behave this way? Yeah.
True.
Something that I found really interesting about the case is that a lot of the kids came from really abusive households themselves. And so all of this stuff was really learned behavior. It wasn't so much that they were born evil, but that they experienced so much violence leading up until that point that, like, just through, I guess, like domestic violence, like their
Just
parents
environmental
fighting.
circumstances.
Yeah, it's like kind of like society at that point. Like the way it was that like husbands would beat their wives and wives would beat their kids.
Yeah. Just
So-
because it's normal doesn't mean it's right, but
Yeah.
it's just your society, your just environment plays a big role in how you're gonna develop. What
Yeah.
are you
I
gonna
actually
deem as
never
normal?
thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Like you said it about like husbands beating their wives and then the wives beat the kids.
Yeah.
And it's like an endless cycle.
But you know what the rule of thumb is?
What?
So you would be allowed to hit at your wife with something that's no thicker than your thumb, I think.
So like
Yeah, I
a
heard
skinny
about
belt.
that. I heard about that. Yeah, I heard about
Yeah.
that.
Did you guys
My-
know, my boyfriend told me the other day that, like, everyone always, like, shits on Prohibition and about how, like, Prohibition, like, banning alcohol didn't really work and stuff like that. But the reason why it was so popular at the time was because the culture around drinking was really different. Whereas, like, basically, like, men would go to work, they would get their pay at the end of the day, and then at the end of the day, they would go to the saloon and they would spend all their money
They'd
on
blow it on
alcohol.
that?
They would blow it all on alcohol, and
Damn.
then they would come
Damn.
home
It was
like,
detrimental to the
fucking
economy.
drunk.
Oh yeah, and just fuck up their wife.
Then they would like, and their wives would be like, "What the fuck? Like, we don't. First, where's all your money?
Well,
and you're
wow,
fucking
facts.
drunk." And so then they would go and they would beat their wives. So there was like a huge push from like feminists at the time, specifically Catholic feminists, to ban alcohol because of the way that like men were
Men were
treating their
acting.
wives. And that like, even though it was a brief time period, the Prohibition like happened. It was long enough to kind of change the drinking culture a little bit, so
Okay.
that when they reinstated alcohol, like I guess it wasn't as bad.
The thing is that it's a.
That's so.
I feel like
I never
alcohol
knew
just
that.
needed to
Yeah.
go through a rebrand, you know? Because the thing is that those type of people that you were mentioning sounds like the working class. You feel me?
It is the working class.
The more richer class would have the financial literacy to know that spending this amount of money
Your
on
salary.
something that is just pleasurable in the moment is not going to be helpful for you to grow yourself financially. You feel me? So that's just a mentality that reflects on the working class. Like it's just people that work
That's
because
still-
we're
that's still
subject.
to this day.
Yeah,
That's
because
still to
people are
this day.
subjugated to this intense amount of physical labor. Let's say. It's
They have to do
almost
something to let
yeah, you
steam
have
off.
to have your release, and that's how bad habits develop, like smoking a cigarette after work
That makes sense,
or in the
yeah.
middle of your on your
You
break.
work-
You
you
feel
work
me?
hard,
Or
you
hitting
have-
your
you're
vape
cold.
in the back room.
Oh yeah,
Like,
which was back in the day, just spending your whole salary on drinking and then
I
snagging whoever was against it.
I never knew that was a reason for prohibition. I
Yeah.
honestly didn't know that.
So what
That
I
makes
was
sense.
what the thing that makes me feel like alcohol just had to go through a whole different rebrand. Is that in prohibition, the people who were in charge of alcohol were the underground culture, the subculture, the mafia. You feel me? So you would have to kind of be different. You feel it wouldn't be the working class. It would be more of like the streets type of gangsters. You know, like it would be because that's how speakeasies developed. You know, it was more of a hidden thing. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a lounge, but behind this wall, if you know the code, you can just go in and they'll serve you alcohol there. You feel me? But only certain people were allowed in the speakeasies. You feel me? You can't allow just everybody there. You need only certain people. You feel me? People that are trustworthy in a way. You know. So how do you develop trust? You gotta pay a certain amount of money. I presume. I don't know exactly how that's how it
What's
works.
that? Was the prohibition just for hard liquor, or was it any alcohol?
That's a good question. I'm gonna look that up.
Right?
I feel like well, was Eddie well?
You get me? Like, was
Well,
it
you
just
gotta understand if hard liquor was the only thing available back in the day. Because I don't know. What,
I'm
Like,
sure
I'm
they
saying
had-
wine. Like, I'm
hold
saying
on.
like wine. Okay.
True.
Was like a little spritzer and stuff
True.
like that. Like,
So it only forbade the manufacture, sale, and transportation, not the consumption.
Oh.
So
Look at us being
by
dumb.
law,
Look at
any
us being
wine,
informed.
beer,
Look
or
at us informed.
spirits that
Oh,
Americans
yeah.
had stashed away were theirs to keep and enjoy in the privacy
So
of their
like
homes.
you can make your own moonshine per se, but you can't just sell it.
So
Well, that
can't make
was
money
the
off it.
idea. That's why people did what they did.
So that's what I was trying to figure out how it worked, because I'm like, how did bootleggers actually get?
Well, it
get
makes
their-
sense.
get
It makes
their
sense.
stuff,
Like if you are gonna go through the risk of developing or making or selling this prohibited substance,
Substance,
you're
yeah.
gonna sell it for a higher price. You
Well,
feel
yeah,
me?
'cause you can't-
And then working class is not gonna be able to afford it.
True.
You feel me? So who's gonna be drinking? People.
Well, that's
Rich
how it
people.
goes. That's how it goes.
That's how it's
like,
always
it's
been,
like
yeah.
Cocaine now.
Cocaine
Yeah.
is only illegal for poor people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's how it got rebranded and now. But doesn't mean that alcoholism is still not a thing.
Right.
Now it's available for anybody. Like any type
So,
of
so the
vice.
transportation and the making.
The manufacturing
Manufacturing
and
and
the
business
manufacturing,
side.
sale, and transportation of intoxicating liquors
Okay,
were
cool.
banned.
Were banned.
Yeah.
And then so if you go get it, you can still drink it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was kind of like a soft law. And it's like,
That's kind of like.
it's a
It's
soft
kinda-
law. It's a soft
Yeah.
law because it's like, well, we can't stop you from doing it, but
It's like how cities
can't-
have
yeah.
cities
decriminalize certain,
decriminalize
certain
marijuana,
drugs, yeah.
so you can have it
Up to a certain amount.
up to a certain amount. But once you have an amount that they're like, oh, you're definitely trying to sell this shit, they'll
Yeah.
be like, okay, now we'll lock you up.
That's funny.
But otherwise, it's just like a ticket.
Yeah.
That's probably
That's why you
kind of
can't
how it
grow
was.
as much, right? Can't you? I think there's some law right now that you can't grow.
You can't
weed.
grow your own
They're-
weed.
they're not
Yeah, you
allowing
can't
you.
grow your own weed.
Yeah.
That's because like the whole idea is that you're supposed to go to the dispensary, and the dispensary
Yeah.
gets taxed, and like
yeah.
that's the whole thing.
And you smoke the strains that they want you to smoke. Which is another conspiracy, bro. They're fucking up with our weed, bro. They're giving us that synthetic strain, which is fucking up with our brain. That's why they're not letting us grow our own natural shit. 'Cause
They're
once
giving
you
us
have
that
your own natural
GMO
shit, You're
weed.
not gonna want to
GMO.
depend on their shit. You feel me? That GMO weed, no cap.
Dude,
No
okay,
cap.
no offense, but is the
No
weed
cap.
from today
It's
not
a plant.
different?
The same thing as the fucking agriculture crops, bro. Like,
There's a difference between weed that you used to buy in 2014, 2015, and weed that you buy today. The weed that you buy today is like crazy. We need weaker weed out. in
and
the
you're
streets.
like, and you may say, oh no, we,
Hot take.
oh yeah,
Hot
that's
take.
Reggie back in the day. That shit we used to barely get you fucked up. Look at the THC content. Yeah, like okay,
Maybe you shouldn't be
maybe
getting
you
that
should.
high.
You know, you feel me? Like once you see the fucking CBD like 2% and THC 20, like hella. That's when you gotta realize, bro, this is not weed anymore because there has to be a natural balance between both chemicals in a strain. You feel me? All these hybrids are just, bro, it's
Crazy.
just not. It's not natural for you, bro.
It's not natural. But
Let
back-
alone the fucking gummies and shit, bro. You eating candy and smoking and burning yourself at the same time.
I'd be doing that, not gonna lie.
I can no, I mean like the same. I can speak from it because I'm an avid cannabis consumer. You feel me?
Yeah, me
so
too.
I know how it's affecting me per se. and,
Looking
like,
for endorsements.
Hmm?
Looking
Yeah,
for
right.
endorsements. Like
You already know.
Yeah, who wants to
already
endorse
know.
our
That
podcast?
money
We'll
is
sell your
green,
weed for
okay?
you.
Not only the weed is green, that money is too. So next thing you know, I'm gonna have my own strand.
Quick asides, how do you smoke before working out?
I have. It depends on
Do
what
you
I'm
like
trying to
it?
do. I've realized that because of how weed affects you on your body, it depends on what type of workout that you might want to do. Because each
okay.
workout recruits different parts or different mechanisms of your physical body. You feel me? So let's say if you're gonna do something powerful like powerlifting, you're gonna subjugate yourself under big amounts of weight in which you're gonna have to explode in order to get the weight moving, like powerlifting. I wouldn't recommend smoking because in those situations you really have to be in tune with your nervous system. You feel me? You really have to be able to have the connection to really fire your nervous system like this, so your muscles respond on time. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that, the CBD, THC affects you mentally in your brain, but CBD affects you physically. So it relaxes you. It kind of numbs you too. So it's kind of
So you have to get a super low CBD content in that.
yeah,
I
but
guess.
then if you're smoking, then you're back to smoking that fucking toxic shit that's gonna get you too distracted to focus on a workout because the THC is fucking up your brain too. So it's about what are you gonna do and how much you smoke. Because I realized that in the other side of the coin, if you're gonna do something that is like low intensity, high volume, long distance, let's say long distance running, because the CBD is affecting you in a way in which you're not gonna feel as much pain.
Euphoria.
You could go through it for
Yeah.
moments, and you're not gonna feel as painful as much because you're gonna be kind of numb.
Like a runner's high.
In 2020, I used to go to the 2021. I used to go to the gym like every day, and before I would go in, I would hit my pen, and then I would go on the Stairmaster for like half an hour, 45 minutes.
Pens
Wow.
are another fucking thing. That's fucking wild.
Pens are bad.
And
yeah,
we
yeah.
are not understanding because pens is the new cigarettes. Did you know that as soon as weed was legalized, all the hedge funds and all the people that were investing in tobacco immediately pulled out at the same time? That's because they already made a a decision between all of them that tobacco is dead and the new thing is gonna be weed. So they're just gonna treat weed as a cigarette, you feel me? And they're gonna market it and distribute it the easiest way as possible with the cheapest cost. Meaning they're not gonna
That's
give you the
true.
high quality shit. And when you smoke when you smoke cannabis naturally, your body goes through a process as to how it
Metabolizes
it
it, no?
metabolizes and how it affects the chemicals affect your body. You feel me? So you smoke it, your lungs absorb it, and then it goes into your blood, and into your blood, and then from your blood to your brain. But by the time it gets to your brain, it's kind of diluted. It's spread out throughout your whole body. Chemicals are doing their thing.
Right.
But if you smoke a cart, let's say you take a fucking blinker, all that smoke is going straight to your dome, bro.
Straight to
up.
the
It's straight to
dome.
the dome, straight to the fucking to your brain cells, bro. And what's gonna happen? It's like bringing a fucking torch and just spraying your whole brain cells down with them. Every blinker just. You
That's
feel
fair.
me? And once you burn that shit, it's hard to it's almost impossible to fucking.
Bring them back.
Because the thing is that your brain is the only thing that cannot fucking regenerate like your body would. You feel me?
Yeah.
Once a part of your brain is out of commission, that shit is out. You feel me? It's hard to like bring it back. So yeah, be careful with them fucking cards, bro. Because at the end of the day, you don't even know what chemical you're smoking too.
No, that's true. My boyfriend got a PAX recently because of that. Because we're hitting pens a lot, and you don't actually know what's in these. And another thing that's really bad is
You're
that a
smoking
lot of
coil.
these pens they have metal coils, and that's what like heats up the weed, and the metal coils rust after
Yeah.
some time. So
So
you're
you're
just
just
like
smoking
smoking
rust?
rust.
You just smoking.
Yeah, like because they're doing the
copper.
cheapest thing. You're smoking
Yo,
cheap ass
smoking
copper.
copper.
I've tasted that shit, bro.
So
That's
you're-
what you know.
Yeah, wow.
You're supposed to try to get a ceramic coil.
Okay.
So, and the ceramic coil isn't supposed to like degenerate like that, but it's like just generally not good. You don't know what's in the carts. Like also like a lot of the problem is like a lot of it's like gray market shit. So you don't actually know like if they're making it in
Yeah.
the basement with butane or if they're making it like legit. So we got a pack so that we could just pack our real weed in there and then smoke that. It's good. It's highly recommend. Pax.com. Whatever.
Nice.
This isn't
not
even sponsored.
but like it's that
Not
good.
sponsored.
Yeah, it's that good. It's
I want to
that
get
good.
on that wave once I get my money up.
You
My
should do
priorities
that.
gotta be set up
Once we
straight.
get sponsorships on this
Oh,
podcast.
definitely, you're gonna see some clouds up here.
But back to the topic of discussion.
Yeah, evil.
What do you think about evil? We haven't gotten to what you think.
In order to feel a way about evil, I feel like we have to be able to identify what is considered evil. You feel me? And that's really hard because
It's subjective.
it's really subjective. Like you said, it's not a black and white type of situation. It's more of a really wide spectrum of gray. you know?
Yeah.
So it's all about perspective and all about what you feel would be considered as evil. You feel me? And because of the way it's set up in this world, and because of it's a great not being of a black and white situation, I feel like it's set up in a way only because we're conscious beings, exactly. You feel me? So that's why I stand on the side that it's kind of necessary. You feel me? Because without evil, there wouldn't be good, and without good, there's no evil. It's like a yin and yang. You feel me? Our conscious, the fact that we're conscious beings, is the realization that we have an option. You feel me? Because our intelligence is dependent on our ability to adapt to our circumstances. And how do you adapt to our circumstances? You take the information that's around your environment, and you make a decision based on that information. But making a decision implies that you have the ability to make a decision. Nobody's making a decision for you. Feel me? So because it's based on perspective, one decision that may seem like it's a good thing for you may seem as an evil thing for somebody else. But you're just trying to defend yourself. You're just trying to.
I always say everyone is just trying to do the best for themselves.
Exactly.
And I think that's why, like, in a lot of situations, like, a lot of times, like, I've been, like, adversarial with someone, or, like, in an adverse situation with someone. Like, I try not to get too mad, because I'm like, at the end of the day, they're just trying to do the best for themselves. And if that doesn't align with what's best for me, like, fuck it. We just go our separate ways. That's what life is.
True.
Yeah.
Well, what you said is true. Like I guess the way, what is evil is like, all right, well, you might not see it wrong, but someone else sees it wrong.
Exactly.
And so the whole, like, idea of, like, even of, like, a society of, like, 10, 20 people, if everybody's doing good, there's someone doing something that the other people are going to consider bad.
Yeah, because nobody's going to be on the same exact page.
Yeah.
You feel me? Everybody wants something different. And I feel like it's maybe not a necessary thing, but it's a thing that exists because it's dependent, like one of the other is dependent on each other. You feel me?
Yeah.
And it's all because we have the ability to choose. Because if everything was good and we always chose good, or all the decisions were made for us, how could you really be happy? How could you really know that that's you? That all the things, all your accomplishments and everything that you have around you, how would you really know that that was you who made those decisions if somebody else made them? How do you know if you earned that when somebody else made the decision? You feel me? So that's the duality. Our ability to make decisions, our ability to have autonomy creates evil.
Yeah.
Based on the circumstances. And it's a hard thing because that makes it hard for you to put the blame on somebody.
Do you think, okay, I have a question. It's kind of like a weird one, but I say, do you think, like, society kind of enables evil? And, like,
Yeah.
because the way I see it is, like, we have a lot of violence integrated into our society in ways that we don't even really think about. Like,
Yeah.
there's classes of people that we deem violence is okay for. Like, these people are, like, it's okay if they experience violence at the hands of our doing, because, like, we're just okay with it. Like, for example, like, the way we treat the Middle East, like, the way
Yeah.
we're okay with, like,
And it's all
drone
of that
striking
is
and
based
shit.
on a decision because we have the ability to go against it as a consensus, like as a society. We have the ability to go against it or have the ability to just continue with what's going on. We have the ability to choose.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, I just feel like there's so many, like, I feel like we are indoctrinated into accepting certain levels of violence because we are told that it is
Yes.
okay for some arbitrary reason for this other that we don't even know to experience that violence.
True.
Like, I always think about, like, there was this country in the Middle East, I forget which one, where the kids would say that they liked it, they hated sunny days. They only liked cloudy days
Why?
because on the cloudy days they couldn't get drone striked.
That is
Yeah.
sad.
Like, that's fucked up. Like we do that. Like, right? Like, the United States
That's
does
tough.
that to children in other countries where, like, even the sky is something that they think about where it's like, I'd rather it be a cloudy day versus a really nice
Yeah.
day, because if it's a really nice day, we're gonna get our shit rocked.
Yeah.
So
That is crazy.
And that's the stuff that like I think about it in the sense of like, okay, we in the United States experience like a lot of mass shootings and like a lot of like violence that I think is
Normalized.
It's very normalized because we do deem that like certain classes of people can like experience violence and it's not a huge deal.
It's not only that, but I feel like it's...
And our media backs it up.
Yeah, well, the thing is true. You're very right.
Yeah.
But I feel like us as a conscious being, we know that that is not right and that it shouldn't continue in our society. But because of our circumstances and because of how social media is set up, we are experiencing an overload of information to the point where if you're aware of everything, every bad thing that's going on in around you,
you're gonna go crazy.
If you actually care and put as much energy as you should into every situation that's going on, you're going to burn out. And so a mechanism of avoiding that is you become desensitized basically.
Yeah. And I'd say that's the point. You know what I mean?
Because sadly, ever since I came to the US in 2013, like I've lived my whole life from 2000 all the way until 2013. 13 years of my life in which I was not scared. I didn't have the anxiety that somebody was gonna come in and shoot up the school. That was not.
That's not big in the DR.
I lived in the Dominican Republic. It's a third world country in which you can walk outside and get mugged and get stolen for everything that you have on you. But I knew that I didn't feel the fright of somebody pulling up and shooting somebody and spraying emptying the clip on a school.
That's true.
You
feel me?
You have knowledge of your environment.
That's true. But here's the thing.
You know what could happen.
But here's
exactly.
the thing.
You know the kind of problems that exist where you're from, but not the ones that don't. Yeah.
But when I came here, it became a thing. It became an anxiety. But even more crazier is that over time, I got used to it.
Yeah, that's the craziest part.
Over time, I got used to doing the drills, which in the beginning I felt like it was fucking weird.
Yeah.
In the time, and in those 3-5 years that I spent from 7th grade all the way till graduating from high school, so 7 years basically, I got used to going through a lockdown to the point where it felt like it wasn't a drill.
Yeah.
Because the ghetto bird was in the sky and cops were around and I was calm. That is not a situation in which I should be calm, but I was subconsciously primed for that situation to be a sitting duck there. And that is something that if I was forced to, back when I was 13, I would react to this whole different way. But it's something that is not natural. You know?
I feel like it's weird that, like how you said you got used to it.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say I've always gone to school here. I haven't known anything else besides coming to school here. So for me, we always had school shooting drills, and I never found it to be like, I was never scared of it because I was like, oh, it's just a drill. But imagine someone coming from a country where they've never had to do something like that because they don't have school shootings, coming here and they're like, shit, this might really happen. I gotta be prepared. Like, that's scary.
I think it's perspective because, like, I think people would be like, it's sad that it's in this country. It's like that. Like, it's sad that kids are becoming normalized are used to like, yo, we have to do drills because just in case there's a school shooter because we live in this country, and they're like, oh, that's sad. But then you think about other things kids are going to in like other countries.
Yeah.
You're like, well, they deal like a school shooting might, it's. All right, not that it might not happen, but it's like really rare that it might happen. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, and the kid in like say DR, how much trauma does he go every single week? You know what I mean?
That's true.
So
that's just like the trauma that comes with like poverty.
It's comes with poverty. Yeah. It's different, but I feel like, we look at it. It's like we try to level in, but like which one's worse?
Well, it's like kids who grow up in like really low-income urban areas in the U.S. have similar PTSD levels to like U.S. American soldiers, apparently.
That's what I heard.
I read that somewhere where it's like they experience similar levels of PTSD, and like they're not really getting any help for that, you know?
Yeah.
Like that just
Yeah.
exists. Or I was thinking about something else
And
in
even-
regards
and-
to school shooting.
And even to a certain extent, in which I'm not gonna say it's worse, but it's different because once your contract is done, you get to come back. You come back fucked up. Don't get me wrong, but you get to
Right.
come back.
Yeah.
That is their place. That's their house. You go
Yeah.
to sleep and you don't know if you're
That's
gonna
your
be woken
safe
up.
place.
Yeah.
Safe place. You go to sleep and you don't know if you're gonna wake up to fucking bullets in the sky. You know?
Yeah.
That's
Or
crazy.
did you know that school shootings or gun violence is now the number one cause of death in children in America?
That is crazy.
That's like the number one cause of death.
That is crazy.
Yeah, you're more likely to die from getting shot at your school or wherever the fuck you are than anything else.
Well, that's a perfect segue of like the topic itself of like, is it the shooter that's the problem, or is it like the environment they grew up
I believe.
in? Like
I believe it's in their environment
you think it's
because
the environment.
as I was doing this little bit of research for this topic, I stumbled across this.
He did some research.
Yes.
Look
I
at
stumbled
He
him.
across-
prepared
Shut
today.
up.
He came ready.
Ready,
He's like,
get
I
ready.
did my
He's like-
research.
She's
I
like, hold
did
up,
my
I
research.
got something for you right now. I'm
Y'all-
gonna
y'all
cook.
pi- yo,
Let him
Go,
cook.
go,
Let him
go.
cook.
y'all pissed me off with that little comment. I was like, you know what? Fuck y'all. I'm actually gonna try this on. Fuck. Watch. I'm gonna
Alright,
try
Take
it.
out your little
So
notebook.
there
Let's
we
see what
go.
you
I
wrote.
stumbled across what is it? An experiment? Not an experiment. What is it? A study.
Mhm.
In which I forgot to write down which college it was, but it's not a big prestigious college. But in the study, there were two groups. You feel me? And in one group, they were presented a choice to either become a boss or be
I think I read
yeah,
it,
or be
an employee.
an employee, you feel me? And then they ran the whole thing, and then they gave them a test of happiness, and both of them were kind of happy, you feel me? But then, and like both of them were kind of happy, and there was no sense of evil in between. But then they gave like a paid downgrade to the people that were serving,
The
they weren't
employees,
boss,
the employees.
and then they felt the necessity to do evil things, meaning to like even talk shit or like
Okay.
to start like do things so you can get so they could be transferred. to them.
It's the whole idea of like, say like you're in the work of like 5 people.
Yeah.
And then one person's like, well, this person is not working as hard as I am,
Mhm.
or this person's slacking off, and they're like, well, if they're slacking off, I'm gonna slack off.
Yeah.
Because now like, you know,
It's like a
they're
domino
they value
effect.
themselves.
So it's a
Like-
certain situation. Like it's the situation is the environment in which you get you're put in a situation in which you're forced to choose.
Okay.
You feel me, between you or something else, and that's how it can be perceived as evil when it's just survival.
So it's like, so that, like okay. So the question is like, is it like a chemical thing, like we're animals deep down and we're like basically prone to violence? Or-
We're not prone, but we have the capability to violence. You
To
know,
violence.
because
Yeah.
because
I'm like,
being prone would signify that you to a certain extent
You don't have control
You
over
don't have
it.
control,
Yeah,
and
but
again,
you
we
do.
do have control. We always have autonomy. We always have the ability to choose.
Okay.
You feel me?
I say it's
That's
like
why violence is a last resort.
I say it's like indoctrination or like what is normalized for you, because okay, when you look at like mass shootings and stuff like that, most of the ones committed in the last decade have been by like far right extremists, and I think that's really interesting to note because if you look at the way like far right or white supremacist groups work and like the religions they're tied to, if you look at how like these religious groups talk to their people, they like tell people like we're at war, like we have
Oh,
to
yeah, right.
fight
Yeah,
to save
yeah.
the sanctity of this country.
You're
We
right.
have to, we're at war, like Jesus wants you to fight, like Jesus wants you to
That's
like
true.
make sure that like America goes back to what it's supposed to be,
Like a
stuff like
mili-
that.
like military stuff.
It's very militant in
Yeah.
nature. And I think that this kind of stuff, like you're hearing it every day, and then like the media you listen to or watch like backs that up, tells you like, I don't know, like immigrants are taking all your jobs, like everyone's
Yeah.
doing drugs.
So just feeding you
da 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 da,
the fuel
trans
to-
kids, da 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 da.
Yeah.
They're feeding you a loop that's making you freaking like schizophrenic. You think
Yeah.
you're going fucking crazy,
That's fucked
thinking
up.
that like your society is being turned upside down and that you're not getting what you're owed as like a white guy, as like
Yeah.
a white man, which is like most
You're
of
not
these
getting
school
what you're
shooters
owed.
are like white men. Is like the first ones like from Columbine, they were straight up like Hitler fans.
Yeah.
Like these are all people who think that they have lost what they are owed and that they need to fight to go get it, and
It's
like
like
that's how they go about doing it.
It's like a manlyhood thing.
Funny.
Yeah,
It's a
it
manlyhood
is.
thing. They lost the
Yeah.
manlyhood, so I'm gonna go do the most manly
Manly
thing.
thing,
It's a,
yeah.
It's a
Thing.
toxic
Yeah.
masculinity thing.
You know what?
Yeah.
What amazes me about that? That after Columbine, it never stopped.
It never stopped.
It never stopped.
It only got worse.
It
Yeah.
only got worse. Like
What
that.
hurt my ears and what she said is that getting what you're owed. So it kind of relates to another thing that I have is that the root of evil comes from being pressured in the circumstances to the point where you feel like you have to do something because you want autonomy. You feel me?
Yeah.
Because we're cautious being, again, going back to being able to choose, we have the ability to choose and realize that what's good for us, but this society is not giving us what we're supposed to have. You feel me?
Yeah.
So that's when you go and get it for yourself by force. You either get, and a lot of times it goes in this world nowadays, our way of, what is it? Our way of embodying evil is through our pursuit of money.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, money equals power. And power, in reality, is not what you really want. Because what you really want is to have the ability of autonomy. But power allows you to have that ability of autonomy. Because that once you have the money, once you have the power, nobody can tell you shit. Nobody's forcing you to do anything. You
Well,
feel me?
yeah. That's like really interesting because I was thinking about like people. My bad.
No.
People, they like you're right. Like they feel like what is owed to them is like financial success, right? Especially like white men, because it's like this country was made for you. You're supposed to get a good
Yeah.
job, get all the benefits. Like
We're
you were
stuck.
born the blueprint. Like you should have it all, right? But what we're seeing now is that there's such like massive wealth inequality between
Yes.
like rich people and like everyone else
Yes.
that like
It's not
people
like, not
people
it's not
like they're
back in
like
the
they're
day,
like
yeah.
I've been got, like I don't have shit now, and then
It's not
like
the
the
old
media
days.
tells them that it's like the fault of all the others,
things, yeah.
of all the other people at their level or below their level, like for
Yeah.
example like immigrants are taking your jobs,
Yeah, yeah.
like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at like, hey, why the fuck aren't the 1% being taxed more and like
Exactly.
redistributing the wealth?
Yeah, because-
And then their church tells them, well, this country's going upside down, you gotta fight.
Yeah.
So you're thinking the problem is the people around you who you gotta fight, and not the people up there or like the government that you should be demanding more from.
Exactly.
Well, it makes sense because, like, you know, it's not back like after World War II where like men came home and they like everybody had a living wage and we could own houses, have a car.
They got
have
the
3
GI
kids.
Bill.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like they had when you came back from that World War II, that was the blueprint. Suburban housing, everybody's gonna have a house, a car, kids, homestay, wife, and that was the American dream.
Yeah.
And now wealth inequality disrupted that because now
So-
we can't all own houses.
If we
can't
if
all,
we match the minimum wage to what it was when like apparently like when like that time period like GI Bill or stuff like that,
Mhm.
our minimum wage would have to be $26 an hour
Sheesh.
to have the same lifestyle that people had back then.
Yeah.
And
That's like-
nationwide
that's a
we're
bare
still
minimum.
we're still at $7.50 nationwide,
yeah.
and
And that-
here we're at in New Jersey we're at 15.
Yeah.
So
and that's
a
a bare
huge,
minimum too.
and
That-
that's the bare minimum.
minimum.
That's like a huge disparity. The people
Yeah.
over there, the people back then were living on what is now considered $26 an hour, which you now have to have like a degree to
Yeah.
get. It's just like insane. It's
or at
really
least a
insane.
master's.
Or at least, yeah,
Master's.
exactly. Some
So
people have
probably
masters and they don't
yeah.
even get paid that much an
Yeah.
hour.
So your environment is pushing those individuals into a situation in which they're forced to obtain their autonomy or their power of decision, even at the means or at the expense of other people.
Of other
And
people.
that
Yeah.
is perceived as evil, because that is evil. Just like an example I made up over here is like a drug dealer sells narcotics to its own neighborhood as a means to obtain money / power of autonomy,
Yeah.
so they could obtain they could obtain their autonomy at the expenses of his own community.
So it's like
Jay
it's
Z used to sell drugs to his own mom.
so it's
Like that's crazy.
What's the whole idea of like the end justifies the means?
Yeah.
You know, like when
Yeah.
people are like, would you would you steal to feed your family? It's like, I guess now it becomes an ethic
Yeah.
question of like, is that the reason why is there evil? Like,
Yeah.
would that be necessary?
And I
evil?
believe, and I believe that nobody does evil just because of the sake of doing evil.
Yeah.
It's because of the environment putting us in these situations. You feel me?
I agree.
And it's hard because of the situation. It makes it hard for us to put a blame on somebody, like I said before. And so it's up to us as a conscious being to make a decision to not be mad and put the blame on somebody else,
Yeah.
because that won't fix a problem. What you have to do is go inside yourself and look for the solution, instead of just putting this energy outputting to somebody else. You gotta have that energy, bring it inside,
And just
fix
it.
it,
Fix it there.
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah, there you
from
go.
the inside,
Well, I guess then we have to separate evil and crime. Because, like,
Me, for example,
yeah.
I don't view stealing from corporations as a crime.
Yeah, you get
Steal
me?
from
So-
Walmart all you want, just don't get caught, babe.
What's what I'm saying? Like, it's like there's, but like, who does that really affect? I was wanting to ask that question. Like, would it affect like the actual company, or would it affect the workers
Yeah.
there?
I don't think it would affect either necessarily. Like, okay, maybe the workers there, if they're like, you guys really aren't fucking paying attention about
No,
that.
I'm saying like, all right, say like people
It'll-
start stealing, like one person's not gonna do it. Like, it's like here and there, say like 200 people steal a little something from it. Eventually, it accumulates to a giant loss for that store, right? And then their numbers are messed up or whatever. And then maybe a head guy is like, hey, you're losing a lot in theft. So
Did you know that they're insured for most of it?
Really?
Yeah, like, okay, for example, Amazon doesn't lose money when
Someone
one
steals
of
a
their
package?
packages goes missing or someone steals a package. That's insured.
Really?
They have everything insured. So it's like, if something goes fucking missing, they just put that insurance claim in, they cash in the cash. And that's how it works.
Who ends up
Maybe
paying
the
for
only
it?
one who might get screwed is like the actual vendor. But the vendor's getting screwed from the start, kind of, because Amazon's taking like a fee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
it's
the seller-
like,
That sucks.
the seller might get fucked, but like Amazon itself is not going to get fucked.
like, the
Walmart
producer,
itself
you
is not
mean?
getting yeah. Like whoever is the individual seller that's going on Amazon, like those companies like
All the fucking
Caskin,
production
whatever.
companies from China. Bro.
yeah, basically. Yeah. Like they might get screwed a little bit, but even then it's like probably not that
Then
bad.
it's fucking it's China, bro. Like, who cares if you screwing up China? Fuck China.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, bro. I like Chinese people.
Wait, those
Not
are endorsements
fuck.
coming, bro.
Okay,
Those
I'm
are
gonna make it
endorsements
different.
coming.
I'm gonna make a difference. Not fuck Chinese people. Chinese people are cool. Fuck China as a government.
Okay.
The country of China. The organization that runs China. No.
Fuck all organizations.
Fuck all of that. There's certain organizations here that are good or bad. Yo, so y'all want to talk about Burning Man?
Burning Man?
Should we go on break before we talk about Burning Man?
We don't have to.
I'm
We don't
ready
have to, we're
go.
good?
We don't have to
I'm
go on
ready
break,
to
actually.
go.
Okay, let's go. Burning Man. What?
Burning Man.
I heard
The
that
muddy Burning Man.
that basically like hold on, let's see.
Hold on, I gotta look this up because
Well,
What-
okay.
So
Before
what-
in the meantime, when you guys are looking up things, I'm gonna bring it to the conspiracy side. You know how the Simpsons have been predicting
it's in Black Rock Desert too.
everything?
All right, go ahead.
He's like Black
It's
Rock.
like Black Rock everywhere.
Black Rock. It's true. The Simpsons had an episode of like a festival in the middle of the desert. They didn't call it Burning Man, but they had
So
like
they were burning something in that.
yeah, they were burning a statue of a man. It's like it's the burning dude. Literally, they call it's the burning dude. But you know what's funny is that in the episode it rained, so they couldn't burn the statue. And you know what happened? You know what happened in this Burning Man? It rained, it got muddied, and they couldn't burn the statue either. Coincidence? I think not, bro. Like,
I think that
and the statue looked the same with the same colors too.
it's extremely easy to predict like crazy weather things happening now
In
because
Nevada.
if you can think about it, it could happen basically. Like you know how there's a conspiracy theory that like they bombed Hawaii and that's actually what caused the fires in Maui.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe that shit because it's like if you really look into like what's been happening,
It wasn't a
it's
bomb,
like
it was a laser.
it wasn't a laser
It was
either.
laser.
It's very easy to look
It's alien
into.
technology.
There is they
Bad. that has been captured by the U.S. government.
That's
back in the 1920s.
bullshit. That's
We've been
bullshit.
developing
Don't
it.
listen to
Yes,
him.
yes.
He has
his
his
We
brain
made a
rot.
We made a
He
contract
has-
with the
he has
aliens
Joe
back in the
Rogan brain
1920s.
rot.
I already got.
He has Joe Rogan brain rot, y'all. Don't listen to him. Basically, it's very easy to know what it is. It's like their infrastructure
2024, the aliens
is
are
not
coming.
their infrastructure is not being maintained
Yeah,
at
it's
all.
not, yeah.
Like the government doesn't have the funds to maintain the infrastructure of the area. They replace local crops with like crops from outside that don't take well
have a
to the
few
heat
questions,
and the
though.
climate of the place.
Okay.
They don't trim down like trees that are going
Well,
into power lines.
what's
So
the
if
whole
a
idea-
power line
I have a few questions. How do you feel about the fact that the motherfucker that was put in charge that
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
he was in another.
okay, so the chief of command there
he was,
was
like part
put
of a
in.
shooting or the Las Vegas shooting or something.
Yeah, he was the actually sheriff of Las Vegas.
Yeah, when it
but
happened.
because he was his career was based in Las Vegas, right? But right like a
the
few.
shooter?
No,
Wait, what are
the
we
guy,
talking
the chief guy of the Hawaii thing.
Yeah, the
He
leader
was-
in chief
he was-
of the investigation.
Uh-huh.
2 months prior to that, he spent his whole career in Las Vegas because he was working in Las Vegas. You feel me?
Uh-huh.
But then he got transferred to Hawaii. I don't know why he made that decision. Like I'm gonna say like really close. Like I'm like a few months, and then the fire happened, as well as another person that got into into the job was the person that was in charge of sounding the alarms. Also got into that position really soon before the fires that happened. And this the thing that's going on between that guy is that those sirens that were sound, he proclaimed that the sirens were supposed to be used only in a situation of a tsunami. But
What?
but he didn't sound the alarm. So that's why he didn't sound the alarms. But the community are saying that those alarms are made for any catastrophe.
Any catastrophe.
So that's
I mean, I say that a lot of people are fucking bad at their jobs, especially when they're new.
true.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's way more believable than
True.
lasers going off. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
what kind of lasers do you know who can even do that? Like, I'm
Okay.
sure maybe they exist, sure, but it's like, why aren't we using
I-
them in the Middle East then?
Because they don't
apparently
want
we
you
don't
to
have
know.
an issue
I
with
don't
think-
doing
want you
that
to
shit.
know. Why would they want to make it public so China knows?
Why would they
Why-
want to destroy the land that they're supposed to be making their
Maybe.
5-minute city on? Like,
Because-
That's you know what I
Why would
You
they
know
wanna
what?
burn it
You know
down?
what's another conspiracy? That's another not conspiracy, but it's weird. Is that The Rock and Oprah are like raising a fund.
Yeah,
So,
well,
like-
yeah, I've seen that where they could just donate.
Where they can just donate and fix everything. Both of them with their money and still have money left. And you know what they're doing? Oprah's buying land right now. She's bought
Everybody
land.
is.
but that's what
Every-
rich people
That's
do.
what rich.
That's
but
like
but
that's
literally-
like
that's-
why
conspiracy
pretend?
theory.
Okay, but why?
Well, no,
that's true.
that's the
not
thing.
a conspiracy.
That's
not a
rich.
conspiracy.
Yo, people do that
That's not
all
a conspiracy.
the time.
That's
Well,
just
okay.
like things people,
People do all
But
the
the tip of my
time.
shoulder
Like,
is
why-
that why?
because they're
Why
rich
raise
people.
it?
Because they're rich people, they
Because
got the
they're rich
money,
people.
and poor people can't do it. So they understand the.
But why raise the
form-
fund to begin with? Just fix it.
Just because she's not gonna use her own money.
You're
Like,
not.
it's-
They're
it's
not
like-
gonna
it's-
do
it's
that,
like- it's
babe.
like-
What?
If you're so fucking nice and you want to
They're not
protect
nice.
yourself,
They're
They're
not
not
though.
nice.
That's why they're rich.
Look,
That's why they're billionaires.
They're rich because they
People
know how
need to
to
wake up
keep
to
their
that.
money.
Yeah.
They keep their money and they're like, all right, I have a limit. I can't be spending all this money all the time. If I want to keep a lavish lifestyle, and I'm spending $20 million a year on my lavish
now
lifestyle,
put some
I can't.
money. Well, put some into the fucking fund.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they gave like a couple $100K or whatever.
100K.
But
As a
that's it.
tax deductible.
Yeah, and be like a donation from my company, and there you go.
Yeah, a
But
donation
honestly-
from my company into
Donations.
my charity that gets me a tax deduction, so I don't have to pay that money in taxes, and then I
I-
money launder it through the
I don't-
organization.
I don't-
Like that's what everyone does. That's
I
not a
don't think it's
conspiracy.
conspiracy theory what happened and stuff like that because I don't like thinking about stuff like that because I feel it's kind of disrespectful for the people that died and the people that are still suffering there because you're just like, oh damn, this happened, right? Because of this like nah, because I feel like it could just be a natural disaster, and then we're just being assholes for thinking like that, just like the assholes that go there. As soon as their house completely burnt down and goes like, yo, I will buy you your house right now.
Yeah.
Like my man just went through trauma, and the first thing that people are all going there to do is
Buy.
buy
Buy
the
their
land.
house. Yeah.
Because that's what happened to my coworker. His house burned down. Same day, a bunch of people were showing up to the landlord. I mean the homeowner, and be like, "Yo, I'll buy the house right now."
Yeah.
Mind you, a man just lost his whole life in a
Yeah.
house fire. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like we're not doing them their respects, and that's something happening everywhere.
A lot of conspiracies, I don't believe in them, mainly because I don't think you have to look that deep to see evil.
Yes.
You know, like I don't think you have to create like an imaginary story to believe that something bad happened because people aren't doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I think people just
True.
don't do the right thing very early on in the process. Like it's
Negli-
kind of
the
it's like
negligence.
it's fucked up for you to be negligent of the land, of you to be the government and be negligent of the land that your people are inhabiting, but it happens all the time. Like people get into accidents because there's like the roads are fucked up, or like fires happen because they're not maintaining the power grid, and then the power
Yeah.
grid lights on fire, and because
It's like
everything is really dry
It's like
because of the infrastructure and because
Yeah.
the atmosphere
like-
is really dry, everything
it's
catches
like-
on fire.
It's like Katrina. Would you consider Katrina a conspiracy theory, or was it because the government there didn't go and actually put forth infrastructure
But
to
There's
help
an,
them
there's
survive?
always going to be an argument for conspiracy.
There is.
No,
but
there is.
Sometimes it's just like she said, maybe it's not that deep. It's just people would just be like, it's not my problem. I don't live there.
Yeah, exactly. Or like I had the reason why I even know about the conspiracy theories because one of my coworkers was like, well, like then why isn't anyone talking about it? Why isn't anyone talking about the fires? And I was like, girl, it's
People
because
are.
they're brown people that
Yeah,
are like affected.
Yeah,
like
true.
there's a New York Times article about how some white lady who's a Trump supporter lost her Rolex in the fire and happened to find it afterwards. Like they wrote an article about that, but they're not writing about like the people who are like natively from there who don't have much money and who like lost their whole lives.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk about those people
Yeah,
because they don't
like,
give a fuck.
They don't. Yeah, we'll be like, oh, Hawaii's on fire, but like
The resorts are
that's
getting
it.
fucked over.
That's
Like,
it.
that's it, yeah.
That's it. Like same thing when we was going with Puerto Rico, and like the power grids
Ooh.
when they didn't have no power. people
Yeah.
didn't have no power.
Something that just blew over really fast.
Yeah, you get me?
Yeah,
It's like
they don't.
pe-
They just don't care.
And if it wasn't for like artists to like, talk about it, no one's gonna be like, oh, this is
If it
happening.
wasn't for Bad Bunny.
Yeah, no one would be talking about it. They don't like the news doesn't care about it because it's not important to their agenda. It's not important to their audience. So there's the whole idea of like I don't live there. It doesn't
Yeah.
affect me. That's not my problem.
What do you consider as a new agenda in the news nowadays?
I think it's honestly
Things that affect the corporations that, because okay, we all know that like, for example, like
Obviously, the new
TV
elections.
conglomerates are
Big.
owned by like bigger companies that are owned by bigger companies, and they're all kind of like tied in together. So like something that affects a big company that affects like a neighboring company to a television network, they'll talk about that. Like say like if there's a strike or if a
Or-
union is causing troubles for a big company, the news is going to talk about that all the time because it's hurting the profit margins of the company that they partner with or that they know really well. But they're not going to talk about it from the perspective of like, hey, these union workers are busting their fucking asses and they're not getting paid. Like
like
they're not going to get talk about that.
talking about like the whole idea of like the whole writers.
Yeah, the
The
writer's
writer's
strike
strike.
or
The
the
ri-
actors.
The actors strike.
The way they cover it on the news is
They're-
like, oh, like
like-
the studios are losing $400 million dollars because of this thing, and they're not
people
talking
are,
about
people are
like,
dividing on that topic. They're like, well, maybe they should get paid more, or maybe they shouldn't get paid more.
Yeah.
And like this and that. Like this is a whole, yeah, because it affects them because they're the ones making the money for the movies, the shows, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's TV. But other than that, care. Doesn't
Yeah.
affect them. They won't cover it.
And
Like
that's
this,
why-
like I ain't know about Burning Man. I did not
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
about. I did not know about people being stranded.
And that's
in-
why the real news be on TikTok nowadays.
that honestly, but you know what? It's also like misinformation.
TikTok
Like, bro,
misinformation
you gotta
is really
be
bad.
careful.
But that's the thing.
You gotta
Um,
be very careful.
There's no reliable source.
There's no
nowadays.
reliable source.
So you have
can't
to
trust
you
anything.
have to do your own filtering.
We know. I always grew up with that mentality of never trusting anything you see, because you never know what's going on.
You always have to fact check.
Unless you're there, and you've seen it with your eyes. Who's to say like everything that you're reading is not a lie?
Yeah.
You know,
True.
which is I guess the wrong way to look at the world, but at the same time it's like you don't want to give your opinion and then the opinion kind of be based on lies.
Yeah.
And like that's what politics.
Have a certain level of skepticism.
Yeah,
when
politics are
reading things,
weird
you
to
know.
me.
Did you guys hear the conspiracy that there was more than 10 commandments?
10 Commandments.
Yeah. That
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. There was,
That-
yeah, and then
that
they were
brought-
like, "Nah, we're gonna crack it down to 10 because those are the ones that like
Yeah.
That's literally what happened.
And that he got them from a different civilization in which they had certain like they had up to like I don't want to say the exact number because I don't want to butcher it, but it was more than 10. And the dude just came.
Definitely
it was
more than
more
10.
Definitely more than
because
10.
the thing is that how can you summarize how a person, how a society should act based on just 10 rules, bro?
That's
You know?
true.
And so yeah, apparently he just grabbed those 10 that he liked and
I was
to
like, this
form his
how we-
own religion,
this
his
how we're gonna
own
live.
form of living. I guess.
So,
Crazy, bro.
so my thing is right about this.
And apparently there's like places in which you can find records of the first virgin birth dating before the Bible. Like in Africa somewhere. I don't know. I didn't do my research. I'm sorry.
We're just
I'm just saying things.
I'm just
We're
trying to
just
look.
chatting.
I'm trying to figure out this Burning Man thing.
You can tell like in the middle of this podcast. That's when I didn't do my research. So this side is just
This is
don't
just for
take
fun.
take whatever I say with a grain of
So-
sand.
a bunch of
Salt.
rain just
Sand,
trapped
sand,
them.
salt, same shit.
That's what happened. A bunch of rain just trapped them,
Yeah, like it just rained a
the
lot.
Burning Man didn't burn.
and
It just rained a lot. People got stuck in mud. Apparently, it's fucked up because it's like, apparently it's like every single year, like hordes of like pretty wealthy people, like a lot of celebrities and like rich people go to this shit. They like go out to the
It used
desert,
to
and the
not be
point
like
is that
that,
they
though.
build a self-sustaining city, like by themselves.
Like a utopia for a little
Like a
bit.
utopia, allegedly, and they just like do drugs and like have orgies and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like they get there, right, and they like buy out all the stores. Like it's crazy. Like all the stores in the area have to like prepare, and then
No.
they leave their garbage out. Like apparently they're supposed to like leave it clean, but apparently they leave their garbage
I
everywhere.
don't go.
well, that's Coachella for you also.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
yeah, you know,
That's
they,
any,
they
like,
don't
thing like
care.
that.
They
They
don't
don't
care.
care.
Yo,
They don't
are you
care.
guys with
Someone
the-
else will clean it up.
Are you talking about festivals and shit? Are you guys aware of the conspiracy of the fact that all these artists are turning satanic and all this shit, and that their concerts are just a way of you participating into the ritual?
Well, if I'm paying that much for a ritual, I better be getting some. If I'm paying that much for Beyonce's ritual, Beyonce money better be coming into my pocket.
Huh?
'cause
Bro,
those
the
tickets
thing
are
is that you
expensive
gotta
as fuck.
understand, like, when you're part of the
Who?
ritual,
What
you're
artist?
not.
Oh look,
one benefiting from
Diplo,
the ritual,
Diplo
right?
and Chris Rock.
What artist is doing the ritual? I'd love to hear what artist,
What
you think
artist
is
is
doing
doing
the
the
devil
ritual?
ritual. Do you think it's Doja Cat with her little
Definitely.
devil horns? Like I just think that's
I
bullshit.
think she's trying to.
Definitely.
She put the worst. She put on the worst devil costume I've ever seen in her life.
Playboy Cardi, maybe.
People
think
put
I-
on. People
I
do the
feel
most
it.
tired
That's what I'm
tropes,
That's what I'm
and
saying.
people really buy into them. You know what I mean? Like she put on a shitty devil costume.
I
and we're
still
supposed to be
feel,
like she's a Satan
but
worshiper.
even if you're for real worshiping or not, it still shouldn't be a thing that you should profit off of, because it's still symbolizing the devil, and whether you believe it or not, you're still putting it out there. You still romanticize it. You're still normalizing it, which is still affecting the subconsciously the minds of everybody that's viewing it.
Chris Rock.
Just because it's natural, just
Chris
because
Rock
our people
was
are doing it, and just to be famous, or not because you actually believe in what you're doing, doesn't mean it's right. Because somebody else might actually believe in that, and might actually be like, "Yo, Doja Cat is with it. I'm with it too, bro." Now I have somebody that's in society, that's a high person in society that's with the shit that I'm with.
I agree in the sense that I think that the devil trope is kind of tired. I think it's something that artists just. I don't think that they're like legit, like whatever Satanists or whatever. I just think that it's like they're trying to be edgy and different.
I look at
And
it.
it's just like a tired way of doing so. Like I don't care if you're wearing devil horns.
Yes,
I look at it.
it's not
as-
working in the reasons why they want it to work to make it more famous.
Nah.
But it's still affecting. I feel like, cause that shit's still not right, bro.
I look at it-
I don't give a fuck if it's for funsies, bro. Don't.
I look at it as what Jay-Z said, that sometimes when people of like minorities, especially black people, do something extraordinary, people just can't rationalize with that, and they start making theories like that. Like I think
I get that.
What's there's a song in Magna Carta where
People
he says,
don't believe in black excellence.
well, yeah, well,
That's
he's
a
like
real
this
problem.
much power inside a black body
Scares
must be the
people.
Illuminati.
Yeah,
And
that's
he's like,
true.
no, it's like LeBron James. And when he was doing that little ritual, he's doing his little chalk, And then
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh, look, he's worshiping. This is like,
Nah,
like
it's
nah,
just-
This
like
is why
so
he's that
athletic.
good. No,
yeah,
he's
like
just
no,
fucking
he's just that-
talented.
like they don't
He's
say that about
athletic.
Messi. They don't say Messi's in the
That's true.
Illuminati,
True.
That's true.
right? He's the GOAT, right? We don't see, oh, he's a worshiping devil guy. Nah, right?
Yeah.
You see how it works, right? When you're like dark skinned, it has to be some Satan stuff and blah
Yeah,
blah.
that's
Nah,
so true
man.
because like who are the people accused of being Illuminati? Like Beyonce, Rihanna.
yeah, like yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like people can't accept that Beyonce's just that fucking good.
good.
Yeah.
Like she must have sold her soul to be this.
Yeah, it's like maybe y'all just can't dance like she can. You know what I mean?
That's
Maybe you
all it
just
is.
don't have the sauce
They
like
don't.
her.
They don't say Taylor Swift is in the Illuminati. I have not heard a theory like
Me
that.
personally, I think that bitch is
Yeah,
evil.
Definitely.
Like,
I
I don't-
believe she is.
I consider. I consider. I don't.
And
I
well,
don't know.
Helen, that's another bitch. That's another bitch that was evil. as
Ellen?
fuck. Yeah,
Ellen?
Ellen.
Oh, like
I
from
thought
the
it was
Ellen
Helen.
show?
Helen.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's another one.
Imagine.
Helen.
Imagine.
I heard she was a bitch to like all of her staffers, and that's why they canceled
Yeah.
the show.
Yo, imagine paying $600 just to go get stranded in the desert.
I know.
$600. Chris Rock and Diplo were there apparently.
Yeah, I heard that too. And they dipped mad early.
They dipped
on.
mad early. They were like,
Which
nah,
Ellen?
that's crazy. But you know what's funny about this? It's like, like when you're put in this situation, right, of survival,
Mhm.
like, what is like the mindset that goes through people?
Mindset.
Like definitely like panic. It's like,
It's
you're just like, oh, we
you're
can't
not
get- we're gonna
rational.
die here.
It's-
I feel like it's similar to people, you know, like there are people who like when a hurricane's coming, they like freak the fuck out and they like, you know, they board their whole houses up and stuff like that. And then there are people who are like, I want to hang out outside the night of the hurricane and see what it's like. Like, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
like
I
the-
knew
I
mad
like-
people like that who are
people
just
are
like, yeah, I was
weird.
running outside all night. I was having such a good time.
People are
True,
weird.
girl,
Yeah.
Human beings are weird, man.
I feel like it all depends on your ability to withstand cortisol. So
What?
cortisol is a chemical that's
the
responsible for stress.
chemical.
Cortisol?
Cortisol, yeah.
Cortisol,
and
yeah.
just like every other chemical, your body has the ability to become desensitized or numb to its chemicals. So let's say Navy SEAL is not gonna feel the same type of stress if it's getting jumped as a nerd from high school, bro. Cause like the Navy SEAL has gone through some shit. That's
Yeah.
he's so jaded to the point where his body physically is able to withstand higher levels of cortisol than the average person. So it all depends on your circumstances, bro. If you had a traumatic life, your things that may affect really hard to other
The things
people.
that
it
your
might-
phase level is going to be
Yeah,
higher.
like,
Shit's not going to
it's
phase you.
literally, it depends on how jaded you are. And but certain situations can also trigger you to put you in a state of just that subconscious state, that 90%, that reptile mind, you know, that fight or flight mentality. Like, fuck rationality, that's when adrenaline kicks in and you just start doing things without even thinking, just like go, go, go. You know, that's a 90%. That it depends on the threshold that everybody has, because everybody can go through a certain amount of stress in which they're conscious about what's going on, and then after certain threshold, your body just like has the ability for you to disassociate. That's why some people
Well, the adrenaline kicks in.
adrenaline kicks in, and you're not consciously processing what's going on. Everything
Yeah.
is happening in the background.
fast, yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So yeah, that could happen too.
Situation like you guys ever seen The Mist?
The Mist?
You ever seen The Mist?
No, I haven't. What is that?
It's actually a Stephen King's book.
Also, it's
Yeah,
scary.
it's like it's creepy. So like the
I
idea,
love that.
and this actually will be a great movie for you, Miguel, because I know you're a conspiracy guy. So the
That's
idea of the movie, I think
What gave away?
it takes place. Where does it take? I think in like Maryland or something, or Maine. So
Oh.
it's this family that lives in Maine, right? And the whole plot of it, like I'm not trying to ruin it, but the whole plot is like the mom and son go to the supermarket to get some supplies because apparently there's a storm coming, right? Because there's like an island in the middle of like the water, and like there's a cloud coming and everybody's like, oh, it's a big storm, let's go get some supplies. And while they're there, there's some military guys there, right? And then a giant mist just engulfs the whole city. Turns out that in the middle of a little island in the water, there's a military base, and the military opened a portal
Oh shit.
to another dimension, and aliens were coming through.
Oh shit.
So the whole movie, it's kind of like that situation, like basically like the Burning Man situation.
That's
right?
cool.
Like you're in a survival, you're literally in a supermarket with other people, and they're trying to come to sense of like what's going on. So then you get like people like how she's talking about like the hurricane, where like people are like, no, we gotta stay inside, we can't go outside. And then people are like, oh, it's
Fuck
it's just a mess. I'm gonna go home. Blah
Oh.
blah blah blah. Right? But then when they start seeing the monsters come out, some people still stay in that line of like, we gotta stay here, and some people are like, no, I gotta go home. It's better for me to just drive home. Blah 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 blah. I'll be safe.
Mm.
So then you get like the division of like
People that want to stay, people
that
that
people
want
want
to
to stay, and then people that go as a group. And then and within all this is like a religious nut in the middle of it, because there's always got to be a religious nut.
Yeah, there's
Always.
always
That goes like, this is the end of days.
Yeah, yeah.
Blah blah blah. You guys
It is
gotta
a
The
religion.
repent.
7 horsemen
Yes.
are coming or whatever.
Yes.
It's an incoming thing.
Yes, and honestly, that movie, I feel like it's like I think it goes back to our topic of like evil, because it's like weird stuff just happens.
Sorry, the 4 horsemen of
The
the
4
apocalypse.
horsemen, yeah.
The 7.
The 7.
The 7 horsemen.
she survived that much.
Yeah.
No, but you should watch that movie.
I definitely am gonna check that out.
That one, it's like not old, but it's one of those like, I don't like horror movies because
I love horror movies.
Me either.
Well, like
usually,
I guess like
but
killer movies, like slashers, I don't like that.
I don't. Yeah, I get
Cause
that.
like you know what's gonna happen. The guy's gonna kill people at the end.
One
of
is
the,
gonna
You're gonna get
live.
jump scared
they
here
kill
and there.
them, and then some way the killer's still gonna be served.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Halloween, like
for the next
come on, man.
movie.
So like, but that type of thrillers like this, I like because it kind of keeps you on the edge.
Something
Yeah,
about
I agree.
I'm not gonna
thrillers,
ruin the
TV
ending for you,
show.
but it's really good.
Have you guys seen Atlanta?
I love
My boyfriend
I'm
was telling
sorry.
that he loved that show.
Paper Boy.
I'm getting into the I'm starting 4th season. I started
So
it last.
you seen the one with the guy in the mansion? What's his name?
Yeah.
Kenny or something.
Yeah,
like
the same.
With
It
the
was like
face?
supposed to be the representation of
that?
Michael Jackson,
Michael
right?
Jackson, yeah.
That was the first time when I realized, okay, this show is something else.
I love
Because in
that
the
show.
beginning, the cool thing about Atlanta is that in the beginning you feel like it's a real show. It's something that's happening, nothing. But then some things that
Yeah,
would be
they're
normal,
weird.
they're just so
They're-
weird and so exaggerated to the point where it
They're-
feels almost like fiction. Like, what the fuck? This is
There's
what?
there's a genre for it. It's like
Yeah, it's like
and
exaggerate or something. Exaggerate.
well no, it's like an African American thing. Like I forgot, there's an actual genre for it.
Yeah.
That type of thing. It's kind of like how
Look it up.
like
Allegorical?
It's
No,
I don't.
no, it's something about exaggeration.
It's like African
It has to
delic or Afrodelic or something like that. Like where like it looks weird to you. because-
Satire, dark comedy, surreal humor.
No.
No?
So weird.
It's,
It's
it's definitely like within the black community where like it looks weird to you, but like the black community will get it. Like they
Okay.
understand. The,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, it has to do with a lot of inequalities that a black member of society.
Magical
would do.
realism.
Or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's something like that.
Yeah.
It's like
Alright. I think this one's dead.
infinite. Oh, it's done. It
Let's
died.
see. Yeah, it's dead.
Dang. I guess that's gonna have to be the end, right?
Yeah.
All right, close it up then, cause you got the.
All right, guys, we got cut a little short, maybe,
Yeah.
perhaps,
We'll
depending
continue
on how
the Atlanta
Solano
talk
edits this.
later.
This will make sense or it won't make sense. I'm hoping he's gonna do his movie magic on it though.
He will.
But
An hour.
until next
Easy.
time, we will see you then. We're the
Peace.
Infinite Podcast. Peace out.